1. Short horror story, The Haunted Eye. A little girl is desperately searching for her favorite book in the basement room of the library. The teacher fails to notice her, locking the library door and leaving. Today is graduation day, and tomorrow is the start of summer vacation. The library door must be opened from the outside, so without the key, there's no way out. The girl thinks to herself, with a book as my companion, I fear nothing, a thought she writes in her diary every day. After summer vacation ends, the teacher checks the library and discovers the girl has died. Reading the diary the girl left behind, I fear nothing because I have a book by my side, but there's something terrifying, the eye that keeps staring at me through that keyhole. 2. Spine-chilling short horror story. My neighbor friend decided to apply to Tokyo University. After getting accepted, she rented a room in an apartment building and lived there alone. One day, my friend stumbled upon a small hole in the wall of her room. The tiny hole seemed to peek into the neighboring room, so she tried to glance through it. On the other side was a dark red color. She thought, could my neighbor be hanging a red-colored picture? Out of curiosity about her neighbor, my friend peeked through the hole every day, but all she saw was a deep red color. She asked the landlord, "What's the person next door like?" The landlord replied, "The person next door to you has contracted a contagious disease, red-eye syndrome." 3. Short horror story with a solution. Moving into a seemingly comfortable apartment on the first day, I placed some flowers in the bedroom, feeling as if someone was standing behind me, watching. When I turned around, a strange man was standing on his balcony, staring at me. Unfortunately, I had to go on a business trip the next day for half a month. Upon returning, wanting to rearrange my flowers, I felt someone staring at me again from behind. Looking back, it was the same strange man. I took the chance to chat with the landlord downstairs about the odd man. They said he just loves gardening. Reflecting, the flowers I planted were indeed beautiful. It seemed the man was just admiring them. Shortly after, I decided to move out of there. 4. True short horror story, The Haunted Dormitory. My friend is a bit of a homebody, always staying in her dorm room. In one summer break, while everyone else arranged to go home, she stubbornly stayed behind in the dormitory alone. One night, while she was sleeping, she felt the urge to pee. But because the bathroom was quite a distance away and the surroundings were pitch black, she felt a bit scared. She woke up her sleeping roommate to accompany her to the toilet. When she entered the bathroom, she was too afraid to come out again. 5. A gripping short horror story. 7 days have passed, and my sister's shadow is still missing. The news of the missing person continues to appear regularly on TV, burning in my heart. From Monday, I almost went crazy, screaming in despair. No longer trusting the police, I decided to search for her myself. No matter where it could hide, from cold storage rooms to slaughterhouses to abandoned houses, I searched everywhere. I must see her alive, or see her body. Late at night, I collapsed on the roadside in front of a farm. Suddenly, a strong stench of decay emanated from the ground, startling me. I climbed down, and what I saw made me freeze. A decomposing body, wearing my sister's familiar clothes.
No.
It can't be. My sister is petite, but this body is large, overweight. Or, did they swap clothes? Is my sister still hopeful? Carrying a ray of hope, I notified the police and continued my journey to find my sister. I won't give up. 6. Short horror story, The Haunted House. A young family moves into a new house located in a remote area far from the city center. On their first night in the new house, they hear strange noises in the bedroom. They imagine it's just mice or cockroaches, but when they investigate, they find nothing. The following week, they hear strange noises again, this time in the kitchen. This time, they are sure it's not the sound of animals. They begin to feel anxious. They share this story with a friend who advises them to seek a psychic. The psychic visits their house and says that the house is haunted. He tells them that the house was the site of a murder. The young family is terrified. They decide to move out. As they're packing up, they find an old photo in a drawer. The photo shows a family of 3, including a man, a woman, and a child. The young family realizes that the man in the photo is the one who murdered his wife and child in this house. They hastily pack up and leave the house. They never return. 7. Short ghost story, The Broken Mirror. There was a man named Hung who was very superstitious. He believed that mirrors could see through people's souls. One day, while walking in the woods, he saw a broken mirror hanging from a tree branch. Curious, he approached to take a look. When he looked into the mirror, Hung saw a blurry image of a man staring back at him. The man had a sinister face, with eyes as red as blood. Hung, frightened, ran away. From that day on, Hung began to experience strange occurrences. He was often visited by shadowy figures and heard whispers in the night. Hung grew increasingly fearful. He knew that the mirror had cursed him. One night, as Hung was sleeping, he heard someone calling his name. He woke up and saw the mirror hanging on the wall. The image of the man in the mirror was smiling wickedly. Hung knew he couldn't escape this curse. He accepted his fate. The next morning, Hung was found dead in his room. His heart stopped beating. 8. Short horror story, Catching the Night Bus. It was midnight, and I missed the bus, so I had to catch a taxi home. Seeing a taxi approaching from afar, I waved to hail it. The taxi stopped in front of me, and the driver opened the door, asking, "Where are the three of you headed?" Upon hearing this, I felt perplexed and immediately opened the door and got in. As soon as I sat down, I hurriedly told the driver to drive, offering to pay double the fare. The driver, upon hearing this, quickly pressed the gas pedal and drove off. After driving for a while, when I had calmed down, the driver suddenly turned the car around 180 degrees and asked me with a smile, "Where are you going now?" 9. Short creepy story, The Haunted House. My wife had just given birth to our baby barely over a month ago. To facilitate baby care, we moved to the outskirts of the city. The air here was very fresh and comfortable, which pleased me greatly. We bought many baby supplies, even installed cameras to keep an eye on the baby. Every action of the baby was recorded, making it easy for us to appear whenever the baby cried. One day, while I was reading in the room, the camera captured an image of my wife singing a lullaby to the baby. As I immersed myself in this peaceful scene, suddenly, I looked up at the window and saw my wife entering with the baby from outside. 10. Outstanding short horror story, Nighttime Door Knocking. That noon, I was dozing off in my private room. Suddenly, there was a knock on the door. I startled awake, and called out, "Who's there?" However, there was no response. Filled with suspicion, I cautiously opened the door but found no one there. Initially, I thought my mother had returned and knocked on the door. But then I remembered, my mother had gone to visit relatives early in the morning. Doubts creeping in, I carefully searched every nook and cranny of the house but found no one. To soothe my unease, I went downstairs to pour myself a glass of water. The more I tried to think, the more puzzled I became. Finally, I decided to go upstairs, stand outside the bedroom door, and knock. This time, I distinctly heard someone asking from inside, "Who's there?" It was a voice exactly like mine,